Picking the right agents in your team comp that are tailored to help you win a certain side of the map is crucial in Valorant. Having the right duelist and initiator can make attacking on certain maps a breeze, while choosing the right controllers and sentinels can afford your team a lockdown defense that's near impenetrable. Today, we're going to expand on this topic a little bit more, focusing on the sentinels. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we are going to talk about the best sentinels to use for every map. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. As a quick disclaimer, since we will be talking about the sentinels in this video, our sentinel choices are heavily leaning towards the defensive capabilities when playing on the defense side of each of these maps. We won't completely count out their offensive capabilities, but it will not be the focus behind our reasoning for certain picks throughout the video. Let's start this video off with one of the more prolific maps in the game at the moment, Haven. In the past, Haven has gone through some meta shifts that caused the best defensive agents on this map to change over time. For example, in beta, Sage was great because she could wall off mid and run to another part of the map. Early in episode 1, Cypher became meta because he could hold down sights well with a couple of trips, and his old cages used to have slows. Then, Killjoy came out and she became the best on Haven because her ability set was perfect for setting up a site then playing off it. Haven has had its fair share of different Sentinel metas, but a new one has been ushered in by a relatively new agent, and that is Chamber. Without a doubt, the French Sentinel Duelist hybrid is currently the king on defense for the map Haven. Many people would expect Killjoy to be the best for this map, but she technically isn't because this map is big and Killjoy needs to stay within range of her abilities for them to be useful. Chamber has the luxury of something KJ used to have, which is setting up his traps on a bomb site and then leaving to play elsewhere while his bots watch the site for him. This gives him a huge map presence with how you can place your traps to avoid enemy detection until it's too late. And your flank watch potential is crucial for keeping the slow lurking duelist off your back. Chamber's traps combined with the mobility his TPs give him makes him not only elusive, but also quite potent at stopping rushes. Since KJ can no longer do that, Chamber is now king on Haven, but that isn't the only reason for why he's great on this map. Chamber also has great mobility due to his teleport, which allows him to play on a site aggressively, secure a first blood kill, and then instantly TP out before he gets punished or traded by your enemy's teammates. One of the biggest weaknesses for Sentinels on bigger maps is that it's hard for them to get an initial pick when holding a site, and then still have enough time to reposition before the enemy attackers come to trade you. Chamber does not have to deal with this flaw native to the Sentinel class because his teleport allows him to be slippery on sites. Being able to play aggressively to secure kills while also having the ability to get out safely instantly is a safety valve that very few agents in Valorant have. There's also one more aspect of Chamber's kit that allows him to dominate on Haven, and that is his proficiency at taking long-range gunfights with his ultimate and pistol. Haven is a map with a lot of long lines of sight. For instance, C long, garage looking into grass, B looking into mid window, A long looking into lobby, you get the idea. So Chamber has huge potential to get picks with his sniper rifle ultimate. You need to tread carefully when you hear a Chamber activate his ultimate, because he can hold a tight angle and his teleportation means he can even escape if he misses his shot. Haven is a map that plays to the strengths in Chamber's kit too well, which means he is the optimal choice over his other counterparts for this map, which definitely makes Chamber a cut above the rest when it comes to playing defense in Valorant. But since he's relatively new, it will take some time to get used to playing him and learning his intricacies. Luckily, we can help with that. If you're looking to get some help in-game for anything from agent mastery to building fundamentals, head over to ProGuides.com, where our Radiant and Immortal level coaches can give you some in-depth tips to level up your play. Link is in the description if you're interested. Split is a map that since its release has been known for being quite defensive-sided, due to the map's condensed layout with several choke points. Naturally, as the game's meta progressed, there have been several Sentinels that have vied for the title of Best Sentinel on Split. Except right now, the best Sentinel for this map is not a true Sentinel by class, and that agent is Viper. Even though Viper is not technically an agent that is categorized in the Sentinel class, all of her abilities can still be used for Sentinel-like purposes. Her abilities allow her to have sight denial, AoE CC, and vision blocking. All of those tools allow Viper to be a cut above the other Sentinels like Killjoy, Cypher, Sage, and Chamber. These agents all have at least one of those feats, but not all of them, which allows Viper to do more for her team on this map, compared to the other Sentinels who can only do a fraction of what she is able to pull off. And don't forget about Viper's attacking prowess, with her molly lineups in post-plant and her ultimate which almost guarantees a round win after the bomb goes down. So why is she exactly the queen of Split? Viper can be creatively used on Split in many different ways. With some light research into different ways you can apply her kit, you can find different defensive setups for her abilities, different lineups for mollies and smokes. You can even find different ways to place your wall and ultimate so that they cover the most ground and block as much vision as possible. With that being said, Viper is without a doubt the best Sentinel that you can use for Split, and her effectiveness on defense will rely on your knowledge of how to set up her abilities to deny enemies space and access to certain parts of the map. Viper is simply the best Sentinel to anchor with on sites on Split. There are some other agents such as Cypher and Sage who can also perform this task. For example, Sage's wall is commonly used for site denial and map reconstruction, which greatly helps with the flow of traffic around the map. This makes Sage a viable pick on this map, But once again, Viper still has more tools at her disposal compared to just Sage's wall. Also, Cypher makes a great case for himself to also be used on Split, as his trips and cages make for great traps to slow down attacker progress around the map. However, Cypher's tools are one and done, compared to Viper's tools, which can be used multiple times at will. This means after Cypher expends his utility, he needs to play his life and gather kills before he can be overwhelmed on a site. Despite the alternative options available on the Valorant roster, Viper does it much more efficiently, and her abilities allow her to inflict more damage and take more consistent control. Ascent is going to be the wildcard map for this video, because this map is where you can make great cases for two different Sentinels, Cypher and Killjoy. This Ascent meta has been shown to be different depending on the region you're from. In the pro meta, many EU teams prefer Cypher for his info gathering and flank watch, while many NA teams love Killjoy because of her game-changing ultimate, and her abilities can straight up deny sights from attackers when positioned well. So how would you separate the pros and the cons for both of these agents so that you can make a more informed decision on which one you should pick? Both Killjoy and Cypher have great defensive setups that you can learn about with some light research on YouTube or the internet. There's a lot of depth to the reasons for why different high-level players would pick one over the other, and researching is the best way to start the process of vetting both agents. So how does the map interact with their kits that makes them different while still performing the same job on defense? There's a lot of room to lurk on Ascent, so oftentimes Cypher can be great because his trips can keep attackers out of areas you don't want them in, and his cam is great for scouting info quietly on where enemies are moving around the map. Killjoy is great for anti-rush on defense because with strategic placement of her turret, mollies, and nanobot, you can end up cooking an entire team that tries to disregard your team's setup and just 5-man rush into a site. Both Killjoy and Cypher can be used very effectively on Ascent in similar and different ways. So this map will heavily come down to which agent do you think you're best at. And if you are not normally a Sentinel player, it will come down to which Sentinel do you want to learn the most and that you think you will have the best chance of success on. Before we move on, let's get to our question of the day. Today's question is, which Sentinel do you guys like playing the most? Personally, I've really come to liking Chamber when I'm playing a Sentinel on defense. Chamber's kit gives me the freedom to move around the map and have impact everywhere. And I really just love using his sniper ultimate as it's one of the most satisfying ways to get a kill in the game. And its shot sounds really cool as well. Let us know what your answer is in the comment section down below. Back in the day, there were multiple different Sentinels that used to rule on the map Bind. But recently, Viper has risen to the top as one of the best defensive-oriented agents you can use on the map. Let's not rule out every Sentinel there is. Killjoy and Cypher both can be used effectively on this map with the tools they have in their kits. For instance, Killjoy's ultimate makes retaking on Bind a lot easier, and Cypher's trick cam setups can give you some crucial free information on defense that can help you win a round. But aside from their niche uses that make them viable, Viper is undisputedly the best Sentinel for Bind. So why does Viper dominate on Bind now compared to in the past when she was non-existent from the map's meta? Just like with Split, Viper dominates on Bind when you have the knowledge about her defensive setups, lineups, and the best ways to manipulate her wall and ultimate. Having extensive experience and knowledge about how to pilot Viper on defense can lead you to creating some pretty airtight defensive setups that include tons of trick plays. Just like on Split and Ascent, Bind can get very choke pointish when trying to attack on this map. Viper's smoke and molly play greatly into that, because you can literally straight up deny a site when you put them up. When you learn all her Viper walls, her one-way spots, her molly, and her smoke lineups and key ultimate spots, you can deny sites from attackers with little effort or need of help from your teammates. Viper isn't completely a one-man show, but she can sure feel like it when the Viper player is experienced and knows what she's doing. Also, one other key aspect of Viper's kit that you need to master when manipulating her defensive setups is managing her fuel. You need to read situations during rounds to know when to put your stuff up and when to take it down. You don't always want to run your abilities until you have 0 gas left, because that small window of opportunity can be abused by smart and diligent teams that are keeping tabs on you. We have to be honest, ICEBOX is a map that could in theory use multiple different Sentinels in different ways to be effective on the map. But one Sentinel in particular has a key ability that allows them to edge out the others, and her name is Sage. So why Sage? Well, Sage is crucial on this map because she can wall off tube in mid, and her slows prevent under tube rushes as well. Having Sage in mid allows defenders to gain early map control by denying the mid area of the map from the attackers. Sage is great on ICEBOX mainly because the tools in her kit in the form of her wall and slow allow her to prevent attackers from rushing bomb sites, which is a common occurrence on ICEBOX. On the attacker side, she functions by giving people the opportunity to plant on B sites safely, as well as being able to section off backside on ICEBOX. Sage's revives and heals are very useful when you need to patch up teammates on a map like ICEBOX, where gunfights happen often due to the long-range nature of engagements. And it also doesn't hurt to have an extra res on your team to help make those difficult bomb site retakes a little more doable. If you have played Breeze, you understand that this is truly the biggest map in the game. And because of its extra large size, this map is not very Sentinel friendly. And in fact, it can be anti-Sentinel at times. Why is this, you might ask? Well, Sentinel's tools and their kits allow them to hold down smaller areas of the map. For instance, Cypher's trips and Killjoy's nanobots are designed to cover smaller choke point-like areas. That is why Sentinels thrive on smaller maps like Split, Ascent, and Fracture. They can get a lot more out of their sight denial abilities when a map is generally smaller because their abilities can cover more ground with less work. Breeze is the opposite of that map design advantage that smaller maps have, so Sentinel's abilities don't function as well on this map as Split per se. With that being said, Sentinels can still be used in some capacity on this map. You just have to be smart about how you use them. For instance, 2 Sentinels we recommend you give a try on this map are Cypher and Chamber. These Sentinels are good mainly because their flank watch utility allows them to prevent some crucial areas of the map from being lurked through. Their trip abilities act as active flank watchers. You can place these abilities down in smaller areas like metal hallway or in the site entrance doors to bolster a site hold. This can allow you to play off-site and guard mid-map a bit more, where your abilities won't be as useful. The key to using Sentinels on Split is to position your abilities so that they can provide you with value, and then patrolling the map on defense to help your team out where need be. And finally, wrapping it up with Fracture, this map has several different Sentinels that could do a great job, including Killjoy and Cypher, especially in terms of holding down the fort on this maze of a map. But we're gonna have to give the win over to Chamber here. Chamber is good for several reasons on this map. He has strong flank watch capabilities with his trips, he has a super useful teleport that allows him to play aggressively and get out safely, and this map has surprisingly quite a few long-range angles that allow him to take full advantage of his sniper ultimate and his deagle. Fracture is a rare map that allows Chamber's abilities to have a place somewhere on this map where he can use his tools to his advantage in terms of being a good sight denier of a Sentinel. Don't forget that Chamber can also function well as a duelist too, and his abilities suit him well for taking fights for control while having a fallback option in his teleport. While we gave the main win to Chamber for Fracture, Cypher and Killjoy can also be suitable replacements on this map as well. Honestly, if it weren't for the fact that Breach is such a common pick on this map, we would have given this win straight to Killjoy for how powerful her ultimate is on this map. But ever since Breach was given the ability to break KJ's utility with his Aftershock, Killjoy gets counted on this map and it makes her much less impactful. And that wraps it up for the best Sentinels for each map. Let us know what you're looking forward to since we have a whole lot in the new year in front of us. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to visit us at ProGuides.com. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next one.